Previously in the anime, Yuuya was bullied for his entire life because of his ugly appearance by everyone. Even his trashy parents never treated him well and gave all of their affection to the younger twins, but even with that flaw, he tried to save a girl from some ruffians and took the beating to save her, rejected by everyone, but among them only his grandpa had always been kind to him. But soon he also left this world, leaving only his house for Yuuya. There he discovered a secret door that led to a house in another world where Yuuya obtained some really awesome weapons and the powers of a person known as Sage. But that power began affecting him in the real world as well and turned his body into a smoking hotshot overnight. After that he enrolled in an elite school because the girl he saved was the daughter of the chairman of that school, and after a while the academy had planned for a campus trip. But before that, Yuuya travels to another world to learn gate magic so that he can return to his home to take care of Knight's dinner. Well, Knight is his wolf pet. But then in the forest while leveling up with Knight by kicking some goblins, but suddenly Knight runs deep in the forest and following him Yuuya saw a girl surrounded by goblins. He wanted to save her but Knight stopped him from jumping in, because she was holding off her own against every attack, but then a heavy blow from that goblin and she got knocked out. Yuuya hits his patience and finally rushes in to save her, but as he takes out one batch of goblins another one gets into the fight, but they too get beaten by a wimp that Sage Dude had created. After saving her she got a bit on guard as she came to her senses, but by Yuuya's gentle gesture she accepted his helping hand and chose to trust him. Her name is Luna. And she made up that she was training in this dark forest, so Yuuya made the same reason as her. Luna felt really messed up by all the dirt and sweat. So Yuuya took out the bath item that he got after defeating a crystal deer as a drop item. Luna was amazed that he's powerful enough to take out such a thing on his own. So she requested Yuuya for joint training. Yuuya trusts people easily, so he agreed to become her training companion. Well, after that their training were kicking off nicely as both of them learning about their flaws from one another. But now it was time for Yuuya to get back to the real world, but he can't tell her about that. So for the last gesture of thanks Luna let Yuuya take the first dibs on bath today because she wanted to join him, but Yuuya was running away. So she stopped him to have this last memorable moment with Yuuya. After that, in the real world, Yuuya and his class were on their way to the camping, and he kept winning the card game 5 times in a row. Yuuya felt guilty because as he was leveling up in another world, his luck seemed to be getting a boost as well, so it rings the bell as to why he got a nice bath with Luna. Well, aside from that, in this camping they'll have to stay outside in the forest and also have to gather their food from the forest and river on their own, and for safety, all of the students have to show their mushrooms or veggies they gathered to teachers for sorting out the poisons one away, but for extra safety they have their school doctor Miss Yamakawa there. But seeing her it gives heebie-jeebies to the students, and if their class were nail this test, their teacher will reap the benefits as she will get a bonus in her salary. But it seriously wasn't much of a motivation. But still everyone returns to their tests as Rin divides up jobs such as collecting vegetables and mushrooms from the forest and Kaide and Yuuya going to fishing. But all of the good spots on the river were taken as they arrived a little late at the river, so their Yuuya used his powerful senses to find another spot for fishing. But their water was way to swallow, so their Yuuya gets in to take some fish with his bare hands. There he remembers that Luna taught him to predict the behavior of his prey, and combining with his reflex and teaching, Yuuya gathered a hell load of fish while others just kept gawking at him. But Luna is not what he thinks she is. She works in a dark guild famous for assassin. But she still has that lingering feeling for Yuuya, but she can't run away from the dark path she had taken of being a killer. Anyways, Yuuya did catch a lot of fish, but Akira was totally down because Rin put him through a real tough spot as he had to climb cliff and even tasted wild mushroom. Not to mention he even lure away a wild bear. Yuuya instantly took a check on him and luckily he wasn't poisoned. But at least their search was a success, so they wanted to show it to Miss Sawada for her confirmation, but their Yuuya met Kaori there as they seemed so close to each other. And seeing them so close like that Akira was burning up with jealousy. After that Teach saw their collected stuff and gave an okay, but the real questing was who knows cooking. And others just dumped it on Yuuya. But he is like a master chef as he made all of the dishes himself, and after eating it they couldn't say word, and their Miss Sawada comes in with 2 other teachers. And when they saw Yuuya's cooking they couldn't help but give it a try. But looking at their reaction Yuuya thought he would have messed it up, but it was the polar opposite as it was so much delicious. Then out of the blue Miss Sawada just openly proposed to Yuuya for marriage. She's such a sloppy woman with no skill for cooking or housequires. And she never had a boyfriend, so she wanted to take a chance with Yuuya, but others tried to persuade her to drop that silly idea of having a relationship with a student. Yuuya tries to deny her in a way that won't make her feel bad, but that just made her even more excited about him. And naturally Kaide happens to get him away from her. Then Yuuya returns home. After getting away from there, Yuuya returns home after escaping the eyes of others to prepare dinner for the night. And then it was time to take a bath, and he just made others even more envious with his athletic abilities, and now his body makes others admire him but also jealous. Then, in the morning, at the campsite, many vegetables and fish were ravaged by something, and Akira was terrified just looking at it. Nonetheless, Yuuya and his team went into the woods to gather mushrooms, and there they saw the scratching everywhere around of a wild animal, and just as that, the wild bear attacked the students. So teachers became alert, and because of Miss Sawada, they dodged its first attack, but while taking that chance to run to a safe side she tripped down, and Yuuya gets in to protect Miss Sawada. And with his overpower Yuuya gave a choke slam to bear that made it unconscious. It was just an unbelievable act of bravery, so Miss Sawada once again offers herself as a reward, but Yuuya instantly rejected her. And then Kaori brought forest officer who'll train that bear to be a guard for this forest, and if it attacks again, it could be served as a nice meal, and that brought their trip to an end. But now it was time to meet Princess Lexia, and there Yuuya killed a horde of monsters before she arrived, and it dropped a nice helmet. But those from Royal Knights became wary of Yuuya after seeing that helmet. So in the past, if you don't know, Yuuya had saved Princess Lexia von Arzelia, and seeing him she fell for him firsthand and proposed marriage to him. But it was way too soon for Yuuya to get a proposal from a girl he just met, so for now she settled being friends, but for saving a princess. Her father had invited him to the royal palace to express his gratitude, but there Yuuya told them to wait for a while, as he had some other jobs to do. So back to the present now that his trip was over, Princess and her escort were supposed to take Yuuya to the royal kingdom, but then night attacked Lexia and a tree fell right at their spot. Turns out he actually saved her, but there he saw some familiar strings behind this attack. Then Night took Yuuya where Luna was, and there he knocked her out. Yuuya was attached to her so he asked Lexia to give him some time to figure out why she was doing something like this, so he took Lexia and Luna straight to his house. And poor Night is going to be worried to death. But that finishes our video for today. Stay tuned for recaps of newly aired and old and underrated anime, and don't forget to subscribe.